Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to be giving the testimonials of two diasporans who are currently living in Ethiopia. Will you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I am Elsie Ja. I go by C, and I am originally from Fort Worth, Texas, born and raised, and I decided to come live in Ethiopia 11 months ago. And I am excited. I'm here to do community work. I'm a community activist, and I'm also a nutritional advisor, so I want to bring the healthy lifestyle to Ethiopia.
Will you describe your life in America?
My life in America was the typical doing the whole rat race, working 9 to 5. Well, actually, I was working overnight. I was in the security field, so it was not really the natural lifestyle that I am wanting to live. Basically, just city, traffic everywhere, busy, on the go, no time for family, just always having to just work. So the lifestyle that I lived, 3 years ago, I started my herbal, holistic wellness passion to live in a organic type of lifestyle, and that really saved me doing the natural holistic remedies. Yes, so at first I was into the fitness and just basically switching my lifestyle over from consuming like a lot of dairy and a lot of meat, and just really like living like the stagnant life, not really going anywhere. So Spirit just led me to live a healthy lifestyle. Yeah, so I decided to switch my lifestyle over to a more healthier, organic way of living. 3 years ago, actually, I didn't come up in a background where it was spiritual, really religious, and background that I came in, and really not doing the natural things, and as far as like wearing different products, eating different certain things, listening to different music that was detrimental and things of that nature, and hanging out with the wrong crowds and stuff like that. So 3 years ago I had what they call an awakening, and Spirit led me to the holistic lifestyle. And so I created my own herbal business, studied herbs and their properties, and so I created a whole lot of herbal remedies, and that led me down the rabbit hole to actually realize that we all are supposed to be in a natural environment, and we all supposed to be within community and not living our day-to-day lives just struggling or trying to make it, knowing that we all need each other at the end of the day. And so that's what led me to first look into communities throughout the U.S. And I searched, couldn't really find any community. And then my coworker at the time, he was a Nigerian man, and he led me to a YouTube channel, and I'll reference them. It was Life of the Kings, and they're in Ghana, and they were building up natural huts and natural getting land and things of that nature, trying to build community. And I was like, let me look into Africa in general. So I researched Africa, different countries and things of that nature, and Spirit led me to Ethiopia. And so to create my own, with other diasporas as well, a community for all of us.
Okay. So that included part of what the second question was going to be, was what made you want to leave America? Can you say anything that was like the primary cause of you finally deciding I want to leave America for good?
Yeah, the boiling point. Okay, the boiling point was for me was the whole like injection thing, like the plan, demic thing. Like that's kind of was an eye opener, because it's like we have so many natural remedies. Why overreact with a dis-ease that's in the body that can be healed by natural remedies? So that's number one. And the whole lockdowns and things of that nature, and not being able to go certain places, and then with the whole AI thing and the whole robotic movements in the US, is really like systematic in the US. So I was like, well, because I know that deep inside that I have a heritage and a lineage here. So I wanted to continue learning more of where I came from in past lives and things of that nature, because I know that because some people are lineage is in USA, but me, I knew for a fact that my lineage is here, because all my life I've been like, not referenced, but people would ask me, where are you from? Or you don't look Black American, or you look, they actually tell me that I look Ethiopian, and oh, have you looked into Ethiopia? Do you have family there? And things of that nature. So number one, the whole like pandemic thing, and the whole like not living the natural way, and seeing like just more fast foods than natural shops, seeing like more people care about just eating out than growing their own food and creating community, is really what led me here. Because it's like they already do this here. Their community, they're building natural structures, building community gardens and things of that nature, growing their own food. That's number one for me, because I did have a garden in the States and things of that nature. And the weather, that's like number one. Like, well, that's number two. The weather is like very bipolar. Your crops and things would die, and it's not sustainable to have like a food forest or a garden or to sustain food. So really, food security and the system type is what really brought me here.
What were your thoughts upon arrival into Ethiopia? Can you take me from stepping off the plane to a week later? How was it?
Stepping off the plane, I know everybody like wants to like kiss the ground and plant their feet in the soil. I didn't actually get a chance to actually do that at first, because the way it was actually busy. Like, I was surprised. There was a lot of people everywhere, and I was culture shocked at first.
Can you describe any significant moments in your journey in Ethiopia?
The significant moments are the mountains. Oh my goodness, like the mountains are so beautiful. Like where I come from, it's certain areas in the States that have mountains, waterfalls, and nature and all of that. But when you actually get here, the first thing that stood out to me were the landscape that's just breathtaking. That was the first thing, like the land in general. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are the people? Are they easy to work with?
Yes, I'll say they're easy to work with once you learn the language. Even if you know a little bit, they work with you. Some people, they don't, especially like when you're doing transportation and things of that nature. They do try to get over on you if you don't know the language, or if they know that you come from somewhere else, they'll try to get over on you, the people. But the locals and things of that nature, once you like establish yourself as far as like somewhere like to live, you're not like the tourist type. If you're just here to like tour and all of that, then it's a specific place for that. But if you're here to actually live and you establish yourself, they're really friendly and family oriented.
Any red flags or what to watch out for diasporans that are coming here to Ethiopia? be careful of?
Yes, never be by yourself. If you are coming, like link with other diasporans that can always be with you, because there are locals that see you and see so-called dollar signs. Even if you don't have much, they see you and think you just have a lot of money. So definitely don't be by yourself. That's number one. Always be with somebody every single step. Like, don't, if you actually like trust like a local or Ethiopian, things of that nature, like at least, be with them. Don't go outside of that person. So that's number one.
What are your thoughts on Ethiopia as a point of return for diasporans to build an economic community hub where we can come together and put our resources together? What do you think of that? Because I know a lot of people are like going to Ghana or they go to like Tanzania, and they'll have like conferences and meetings and stuff like that. And that's like, where they say we need to invest our dollars into. But what about Ethiopia as being the alternative?
Exactly. Like you said, Ghana, Tanzania, Gambia, all of those like have a lot of diasporans, but Ethiopia needs us. Like they really do. Because it's so many, it's a lot of opportunity out here for us. We just need to actually come together. And it's so much to get done here. So much to get done here. And people are looking at other countries, and this country right here needs like the most help. Like, from my opinion, because I haven't visited like many countries in Africa, only a few. But from my experience, Ethiopia really needs our people to come together and build something for us and the locals, because the locals do have some issues and poverty and things of that nature, and we can help. They can help us and we can help them. As long as we come together, that is all that matters.
Do you see yourself as part of the nation building movement?
Yes, I see myself as everyone needing to come together, and yes, we do need to build our own nation, because it's several different tribes and several different things going on here, but we need to look outside of that and actually come together and build something for all of us, like food forests, is planting everything everywhere so we can end hunger. Getting people like off of the streets and things of that nature to actually help us with our movement so they can, have things to do and have somewhere to stay and things of that nature, because we need to realize that we all are one, and if we take care of each other, everything is going to flow. Like, we're so divided. That's why things are going haywire, because we can't come together. Like, that's the main thing. If we can come together, we can change a whole lot. And it's simple. It's simple. We just have to get rid of our differences, realize what we actually need for each other, and go for it. And that's it. That's all.
Right.
So,
How do we build community?
well, first, your heart has to be pure, and the people that is wanting to build community, and the intentions and the desire to want community is how you build it up. The people, as far as the diasporans that want to come here and build the community, have to really understand togetherness and oneness. If you don't have oneness, then it wouldn't be a community. So that's what I think, that people have to have a pure heart and the desire and the intention to want community. And that's how you build community, through knowing exactly what you want, and the people actually knowing like what we need. That's how you build it. Like, actually, the people is through us. That's how we build it.
Okay. What is your response to diasporans in the West who are unsure about traveling to Ethiopia?
Actually, because at first I was like, Ethiopia, but I'm different. Like, The other people actually come here because it's like I can say like what's all going on here, but if you like haven't actually stepped foot to actually visit at least, you wouldn't know for yourself. You have to actually know within that, okay, this is what I want to do. Okay, I see that, I want to help with that, I want to be a part of that because I'm here and I see it and I'm in it. So I would recommend people coming to visit at first, not just coming here and dropping all your stuff like I did, because I already knew like I'm leaving. You know what I'm saying? So other people, I would suggest, you know, booking like a week trip or a week or two trip, and just to see and feel the country, to see if that's something that you really want to do before you just make drastic decisions and make drastic decisions and just drop all your stuff and then come here and without a plan, you know. So I would link with other diasporans and say, hey, can I come visit for a week or two and just to see how things are, and obviously they would be okay with it, because I wouldn't mind someone coming here for a week or two just to visit, to see the land, to show the land and the people, and to tell them exactly our plans and what we're going to do, to see if they resonate. So I would definitely say visit first.
What do we, us diasporans, need help with here in Ethiopia?
The number one thing that we need at the moment are donations to go towards our community investments and community land and things of that nature, so we could go ahead and start up our community forests. We also need more seeds. The more seeds, the better. And I also made a Amazon wish list for all of diasporans. So we will be putting the link down below on all of the items that we need. But we will be grateful to receive donations to help things get started. So that's number one that we need.
So what would be your final thoughts and closing remarks that you would like to say specifically to the diasporans that are watching, that are living in the West, like America, England, and all these other places?
Number one thing I would say as my final thoughts is to work on your heart space, make sure it's pure, and to really go within and connect with Source to know your purpose. Because if you don't know your purpose, you can get swindled in different ways and not even walk in the light that you are. So definitely work on knowing your purpose and definitely work on knowing your purpose and cleaning up any trauma or anything that you have to work on before you start moving to something like big that you're trying to, and you know in deep inside that you want to do. So so just clean the heart space, make sure it's pure, and to know and go within with Source to know your purpose.
Okay. Hi everyone. So the second interview is actually going to be myself, and there's going to be more testimonials, more, vlogs where I showcase the different features and sites and all of that stuff in Ethiopia, what the diaspora is doing, and interviews and all of that stuff. Many people call me Shiloh, and I was born in America. I lived in New York, and then I also been to North Carolina. I was also living in Georgia, traveling different places. I had even been overseas before, but as far as being in the continent of Africa, the motherland or fatherland, um, this was my first visit, and this visit has really had a profound impact on me. And I'm actually I say visit because really I'm a sojourner on the land, like the scripture says. So the goal is to see all of the world. But first things first, we have to fulfill these prophecies. And once we inherit this earth, like it says, the meek shall inherit the earth. then we can go to and fro, like how they say saying goes to and fro throughout the earth, and we see all of these jet setter lifestyles of, people living like a G6 and going all over the world, and, you know, influencers and stuff sharing videos of them, skiing at different resorts in Europe, and then, traveling through the Andes mountains or whatever. This is something that we as a people of our creator who obey the covenants of our creator, we're going to be able to enjoy these things. But, right now, judgment always, it starts at the house of God. So first we have to go through our own purging and cleansing. And once we become the head again, we're going to be able to partake in all those joys and, have a fulfilling, truly fulfilling eternal life. But like I said, we have to take steps to get there. And so going back to the introduction, when I was in the land of America, you know, I was just doing what many people do, working 9 to 5 and just pretty much living day by day like it's just a dream. Like everything is just repetitive and monotonous. Life not fully fulfilling. There's still more meaning, and I'm just not getting it out of that, 9 to 5 American lifestyle, paycheck to paycheck. There are opportunities everywhere you go, and I've had opportunities to study in school, but I was, I guess some people call us like indigo children or whatever, people that they classify as having ADD, ADHD. I know there's a different way in which I think than most people, um, but I know that I have a high level of mental creativity, but essentially the Western educational system is not tailored to, people that are, like I said, maybe classified as ADD or ADHD, or people that are right brain thinkers. The West is mainly modeled after a left brain society, when I believe that we need to merge both the left and right hemisphere together. So just all together, just it wasn't fulfilling. And I feel like I was looking at the machine and I wanted to take it apart, but I had to get closer to the plug, you know, and if I want to turn off the machine, I have to get behind it. So this wraps in with the prophecies, because right now all we're seeing is this giant illusion that we're being hypnotized by. And the minute we unplug the machine, the illusion turns off and we're able to think outside the box more. And I guess probably because of my, you know, the way I think, the way I am neurologically, I could see a little bit of I guess what they would call glitches in the matrix. And it was definitely studying the word that helped me get there. And also, I would say the Church of Haile Selassie, I played a major role in it, reasoning with enlightened people, people that are on the path of enlightenment, you know, and that really helped trigger me to finally snap out of that illusion and be like, okay, the prophecies are not going to fulfill themselves if we don't do nothing. So some of us have to come together and do something. Maybe that's plays into the 144,000. So basically, I had left out of America because I had already been looking at the prophecy regarding the second Exodus, and I felt like it was primarily initiated during 2019, where we see COVID-19, coronavirus 2019 pops up. You have the whole year of return, people going back to Africa, and that was starting to become popular, and then they shut it down. And people, because of the lockdowns, had more time to spend, doing research, watching videos, opening their eyes, already questioning things regarding different things that the government does, different things that social media does. And it's like, okay, so 2019, I had already started realizing, okay, I need to, at some point, get ready to leave out of the land, but it was just about making the necessary preparations and ultimately figuring out where the land was, because, like many, I've been led to believe that the state of Israel was the ancient biblical land of Israel. Because look, it's even in the name, they get you right there. You want to find where biblical land of Israel is? Oh, it's the state of Israel. It's still around. Whereas when you look at a lot of nations in the Bible, they're not really still around. Like Medes, I think, or Media and Persia and, Kush. And these names, you don't see all these countries' names now. You'll see modern day equivalents of them, Babylon. I mean, you don't really see those names, you know. So there are some that are still around, but most of them you don't see. So when you're looking at Israel, we're just commonly taught by the church to believe that it's the state of Israel just because it's named that. But what does the name have to do with the actual truth? Because a liar can give a name to anything. That doesn't make it, accurate. It doesn't make it factual. So when I got redirected through reasoning with a brother who was telling me that East Africa is the most likely location of the actual biblical Holy Land of Israel, because when you understand how the geography and terrain of Israel is mentioned in the Bible, and then when you look at the setting of most of the events, especially in like the Torah, you see a lot of it is taking place in Africa. The terrain doesn't really match the terrain and climate that you see in the state of Israel. The wildlife, most of the wildlife, you don't see in the state of Israel, you know? So when I'm putting these things together and other tidbits of information, regarding the people and just altogether just about everything, down to understanding how Ethiopia is a mountainous region. It has lots of mountains in it, just like it talks about in Jerusalem, it's surrounded by the mountains in the book of Psalms and other things like that. You start realizing, it's more likely that this was actually taking place in Africa, but because of the stigma that Africa gets, and then also just, how the world looks at Africa and the elites wanted to, control the narrative, they tried their best to keep Africa out of the spotlight. But anyway, once I did my own research, because he helped counsel me on it, but I had to do my own research, and I give credit to Brother Rambo because he played an important role in this. Then from there, I started finding additional information that confirmed it. And it wasn't like confirmation bias. It was just me looking at it from a neutral point, because originally I had argued against that stance. But when I realized I wasn't really standing on a solid pillar or foundation, I had to become analytical and just rethink things through and do more research. So after all that period of time of going through the research and studying it over, and then again, you know, just preparing myself, I finally made the move and got the ticket to come to Ethiopia. And it's been a profound experience. So the next thing that, when I'm looking at the prophecies and it's talking about the Exodus, because the way I look at it, an Exodus is not only mental, physical, spiritual, it's all three. It's combined, it's a combination. So the Israelites coming out of the captivity, well, first we have to look at what is Israel. Israel is a people and it's a mindset. So we need to have the mindset, and the mindset changes our lifestyle, and that lifestyle is a chemical neurological process that is also physical. So coming into Israel by leaving out of the captivity is coming out of that mental darkness, where before we even get to Israel, and if you're looking at the prophecies, especially looking at Ezekiel chapter 20, you'll see that following leaving out of the captivity, the people are going into the wilderness. And that wilderness, why? Because when you come out of mental darkness, you're still wandering for a path. The path is not yet fully light and shining. It's still like a shade of gray. So you're coming out of that mental oblivion of just being unawakened into a level of clarity, lucidity, and awareness. But that's a process, day by day. As you make it to the end of the tunnel, you start seeing more and more light until you finally come out of it. Now you're in the land of Israel. Mentally, and like I said, it's even physically, because it's a physical transformation of the body and even the cells in the body and the atoms and everything, because who are the people of our creator? You know, El or Yah, the Most High, but them that follow his covenants, his commandments, the laws, the ordinances. So when we're understanding that the people now, like I talked about, unplugging the matrix and coming out of it and waking up, the people now, they're emerging out of this mental darkness and they're finding out about themselves, they're finding out about the prophecies, they're finding out the truth, and the truth will set you free. So if we're looking at it physically, like I said, I'm looking at it as, beyond the name, but the meaning and the purpose. Like it says, the Most High puts his word above his name. So finding the purpose, because the word was made living. What's our purpose while we are alive here on this earth? To carry out the will of our creator. And the prophecies is the script that we must follow. So we're coming out of the land and we're going into Ethiopia to do what now? Well, once the people, it says, come out of the captivity and they go into the wilderness where they purge themselves, and then they go under the new covenant, then they are brought into the land. And when they go into the land, their purpose is to rebuild, because it says the desolate places will now be inhabited. A land of villages of, like, basically unwalled villages and, bustling towns. Like, we're going to come and we're going to be an economic boon to this desolate wasteland. And when I say this desolate, like, I'm saying, like, understanding the the multidimensional aspect of Ethiopia, that is multidimensional. You may look at Addis Ababa and it's a wonderful city. Ethiopia has the largest open air market in Africa, and it has a lot of things to offer. But there's other multidimensional intangibles that we have to understand, and that, okay, that's on, just like when you go to New York City, people look at the Big Apple like it's beautiful, but then you see the ugly parts of it. So you got to see the good and the evil. And we have to understand that we have a role to play in this and transforming it from the wilderness that it currently is right now into a Garden of Eden, this paradise. And that's what we're going to do. So there's I'm summarizing it, but again, I want to connect the vlogs with fulfillments of prophecies, because we need more people that are becoming aware, more people that are becoming conscious, more people that are being steered in the right direction, more people coming into the land. Because like I said, it's stages to this. So once it's enough, built up enough into your heart, it's ready to be released. All of that pent up potential energy transformed into kinetic energy, which is movement. Like Bob Marley said, movement for our people. So you have to come out now, emerge out of that chrysalis, out of that cocoon, and take flight. And that flight is bringing you into Ethiopia so we could start building. So when I was in the land, I was looking at the matrix and I was seeing the glitches in it. And I was looking at the matrix, but I was so hypnotized and lost. I couldn't understand what it was fully. So when I was able to understand that it's this projector of illusions and nonsense and ignorance and vanity, I started realizing, how can I shut it off other than going behind the machine that's projecting the image and unplugging it? I look at coming to Ethiopia as arriving at the plug, because once we start building, the illusion is going to start to fall apart. Because when you start seeing other parts in the prophecy, because it's like you're looking in the future when you really start opening understand the prophecies. You may not see it completely clear. It may be a little bit like, foggy, like this camera is a little, blurry a little bit, but you can get a good picture, a good idea of what's going to be taking place. And when the people of the Most High start coming together in the land, Babylon is going to start scrambling, because the illusion is really to control a certain segment or demographic primarily, because once they wake up, it's like Neo in the Matrix. It destroys the machine once they start fulfilling the prophecies. So once these people are no longer brainwashed and they're no longer hypnotized and they're coming into the land, then Babylon starts scrambling and getting all the plans that they had in motion, like the final plans, because they war and they fight amongst each other, but it's never truly the end, you know. But once the people are no longer fully hypnotized by it, and that certain number of people that's necessary are in the land, and that number is met, then the final battle is going to take place, where the armies, all these world armies that come together, under the United Nations and so forth, and work for Babylon, the beast system, they're going to come against us, but they have no power over us at that point. So once they're finally defeated once and for all, the system falls apart. So that's why I said it's like when we're coming here into the land, we're near the plug, and the more works we start doing, we start grabbing that plug and tugging it until eventually it pops out of the socket, and that's it, game over. You know, we we are going to finally take our rightful positions, but in order to receive that inheritance, you have to we have to earn it. It's not just handed out. So everyone has a role to play. You can't just sit back. It's one thing if you're just completely unable and you tried your best, the Most High is going to be looking out for you. But if you have the resources to come to Ethiopia, and you have become fully convinced, you know, that sword is at your own, throat, because it's like once the system falls and things become heavy and hard, then you have no one to blame but yourself, because you knew. So I say that all to say is that this place is the next destination for us. We've been all over seeking a home, and now we have the chance to come home, you know. And it's unfortunate that things had to be this way, and that we have to work in Babylon because of the curses and the decisions that our ancestors, and even unfortunately we still make to this day. But this is going to be it. We could rest assured that once we put our hands towards building and we get established and we start taking these desolate places and transforming them into paradise, that's it for Babylon. We don't have to go through another captivity no more. And we won't. So right now, we need help. Like C said, we need people on the ground, and we need support for the people, who can't come, share videos, talk about, what we're doing, get other people involved. Try your best to get this information out there, because we also want to get to the point where once we get enough, when we become enough sustainable, we can have our own version of maybe like a private charter planes that can take people, who don't have the resources for free, and bring them into the land. And we can develop our own form of a bartering system where we use our labor and skills as a form of currency, you know, like we all can live in a egalitarian utopian society. It's really just the beast that has been keeping us from reaching that state because we're focused on greed and capitalism and a bunch of other unnecessary things. But in order to emerge from capitalism, we have to use some of its tools. So starting these businesses and generating money and getting these donations and all these things going is going to allow us to turn this the ideas that we have into reality. And we want to get everybody participating in this. So, it's good if you've been following this channel for a while, to see the transformation going from, talking, never really seeing my face, and now you see the face, now in the land, everything that was talked about now becoming something more practical, you know, even the knowledge of the Holy One, the knowledge of the lamb and the lion, and turning that into a form of meditation, of turning that into a form of manifestation, you know, and putting on the character of the personification of the lamb and the lion who dwell within me, who dwell within us all, because we all are I and I, so we're all baptized into one body, which is giving us that Christ consciousness, because we also need the mind with the body and the spirit. So it's all just coming together. And as those things start coming together, you start having all of these like inspirational thoughts, and it's pushing the body into fulfilling everything that it needs to fulfill. So, you know, that was a little bit about myself. That's a little bit about, the journey, you know, is really what you make it, because anyone can take something very simple and make it a very difficult task. But like we know, what Christ said, take my yoke, for it is light, all those who are heavy burdened and seeking rest. So we can put on the light burden. We don't have to make this journey so difficult. We can make it light when we follow our Creator, keep His commandments and laws, and when He's speaking to us, and He speaks in many different ways. Some a small still voice, some like a friend, like how He spoke to Abraham and even Moses, and some through other people. Being the trumpet, the voice, the utterance for them to hear. You know, Listen to the commandments, listen to the voice, the will, the wish, all of that. Our Creator is given unto us because it will not return unto Him void. So do it, follow through on it, and you will have prosperity and abundance. You know, any sort of bad things that I've run across have been through my own negligence. But we are divine, sacred people. For the longest we have been going through tribulations. But now, once we start realizing the God within ourselves, the temple of man, how our Creator dwells within us through the Holy Ghost, the Spirit that is within us, and we start being able to activate all these things, these energies within us that give us an unlimited potential that we can turn into kinetic manifestation, there's no longer any tribulations. We emerge out of that, and we emerge out of that as a new creation. Our Creator's divine timing is done, perfectly in sync with human development. So as we are developing spiritually, mentally, physically evolving, these all of these things are coming into motion. So now, regarding probably some of the things that I've experienced and some of the things to be mindful of is you wanna definitely, coming into Ethiopia, be aware that, there is, poverty, and there's a lot of people that you're gonna see asking you for money. And they even ask other Ethiopians this. So, just, don't feel offended or anything like that. But, just be mindful that when you do have, um, when you are coming in, keep pocket change. Don't be quick to just give out, like, because here they have things in the forms of like $200 bills or what they call burr bills, and 100 burr, 50 burr, 20 burr, 10, 5, and then they have the dollars like a coin. Keep 5 and 10s on you because maybe you may feel like pity and you want to help out someone and give them some money, but if you start handing out 200s, you know you're gonna start seeing, especially if you're not coming in with a lot of money, your the money that you are living on, is gonna start to deplete rapidly. Versus if you're handing people, someone that may ask you for food or money, handing them a $10 burr bill or a $5 burr bill, or when you go get something to eat and you have food left over, you'll see people that'll put the food in a bag and will hand it to, a homeless person. So, you know, there's ways in which to be generous and be helpful, but just be smart about it and be careful with your belongings because you have pickpocketers. So always make sure that if you do have like pockets that have zippers on them, zipper them up. Or if you have a jacket with a zipper, put it in the jacket and zipper it up. Or, there are different sorts of pockets that have like, probably a pocket within the pocket so that it makes it difficult for somebody. You don't just want to keep it, your phone near that near like basically to where someone all they have to do is just stick 2 fingers in and can pluck it out. You want to make sure it's deep in there, secure, you know, be mindful of people watching you. You know what I'm saying? Like just be conscious about these things. And this is just for anywhere you go. So it's not to become afraid because you could be walking, you don't even want to be walking down the streets at night of, like, for instance, Bed-Stuy, you know and just have like designer clothes and Jordans and gold watches and silver necklaces and stuff. You know what I'm saying? You're always like, if you're going in a certain neighborhood or something, you're gonna tuck your necklace in, or you're going to roll your sleeve up to cover your gold watch, or you're gonna make sure you don't go out with your best pair of sneakers because you don't want to get mobbed or whatever. So just be careful, coming into this to Ethiopia, coming into, another country. Just be mindful of things. And again, everybody's struggling everywhere. So you know what I'm saying? You don't have to take we don't have to take things personal, but you don't want to get in a situation where you lose your wallet, you know what I'm saying? Or your identification like passports and stuff. You don't want to lose none of that. So just always make sure that you are every now and then checking to see if these things are still in your pocket, making sure nobody's getting too awkwardly close to you, because some people may try to brush up against you or get really close. Like always keep a distance, you know what I'm saying? And certain words you can say is like yellam, which is no, you know what I'm saying? Or another thing is practicing Amharic. They have books when you get out here, but sometimes the books are kind of expensive and it could be a little bit of a ripoff because if you have access to online, the internet, you can find, different resources to practice, you know, certain expressions that will help you get by. Because Ethiopia, even though it's like a multicultural, especially in like the big major cities, multicultural, and you got a lot of tribes and stuff, the predominant language is still Amharic, unless you're going to like somewhere, maybe even like if you're going into Jimma or um, Bahadar, or going into well, actually not Bahadar, like Mekelle, Axum and stuff. Like these different regions will have their own tribal language, like Tigrinya, Oromo, Guragi and stuff like that. But for the most part, the predominant language is Amharic, followed by, perhaps English, and then these other, depending on where tribal area you're at, their tribal tongue would be like my primary language. So it's good to learn a little bit of Amharic because it'll help you get by faster. Even when you come into Addis, not a lot of people speak English, and if they do, they're not very fluent in it. So it would definitely help to learn the language. Another thing is that you want to you want to build networks, and when you find trustworthy people, you want to keep them. You know, but obviously if someone is not turning out to be dependable, then eventually you don't want to continue to rely on them. But you want to find locals that you can trust, but obviously not being too gullible. And that's again anywhere you go. But you want to find people that you can interact with that can be helps to you, because those people can direct you to finding a place to stay that is more affordable, for instance, because that's another thing I want to touch on is like housing, or having lodging. A lot of people, they come here and they'll stay in like the Bole area and they'll be spending $50 a night at a hotel when they got hotels here that is what's the equivalent, I guess, of will be seven. There's a place where they have for 750 birr, and that's probably like around $8. So when you when you start realizing, wow, okay, I could find a place that is only $8 compared to staying at a place that's $50, again, it'll make the money last longer. So that, because again, you we're coming here for a purpose, like I said, a mission to fulfill. So you don't want to come here and be stuck where you spend up all your money after a month or two and then you go back to the States because you need to rebuild. You want to come here, and get and start running. You know what I'm saying? Just take off. So if you are understanding about how to make your money or if you're being wise and economical and the choices like purchasings and all this other stuff, then it'll allow you to have more money in reserves that then you can start to use for your business, because that's the goal. One of the things too is that employment is hard to come by even for the locals. So expecting that you're going to get like a job as a teacher or something like that is it's very difficult, because so many other people are like already ahead of you on that are probably already, by the time you submit your resume or CV, it's like yours is like 50th in line. So not to say that you won't be considered, but the goal should be, we need to be entrepreneurial. So it's not an issue if we're building a community and we're working for each other, you know what I'm saying, as far as, fulfilling these prophecies, but to just go out and start working for the system, you know, again, that's up to each person. But my goal is to really focus on the prophecies, and if you are being led into doing that, then there's nothing wrong with that. You can use that to build up your money. But many of these places, they pay, some of them will pay the equivalent like of an American salary and some don't. And, you know, we have to think, how long are we going to continue living like we were living in the West? You know what I'm saying? We come out of the West so that we can get out of the 9 to 5, to have a purpose, to have meaning. So, keep all those things in mind. Another thing is, in addition to the lodging, is food. You don't want to be going to restaurants and spending, what you're spending at a regular McDonald's. You want to be mindful of the money and how, being here in Ethiopia, when you come straight here, for the people who aren't working, like that don't have like digital jobs, like if you're not like a software engineer or someone that has some sort of, gig job, online gig job or whatever, online work, then every single day you're losing money. So you want to find places, because there are places out here that you can get a meal for only about 200 birr or less, depending on the place. And again, being mindful of the place, because, you don't want to go somewhere too, run down, because you want to be, quote unquote economical, and then you end up getting some stomach parasite or whatever, or drinking or eating something contaminated. So you want to also be mindful of that, But there are places that, I've eaten at and I've not had no diarrhea or, bad sicknesses or anything like that. So there are places out there. And for around, like I said, that price range of around 200 birr, which is equivalent to only about 4 birr, or 3 birr or whatever, like around that price range. So it's very cheap, and it will allow you to last in the long run. And there's even more other things to be mindful of. But I think also why we need to have a community network is for consultations for specific questions that can be answered by people who have experience, who are experienced from being here in the land and going through those situations and emerging from them, and then knowing, okay, this is what I recommend, this is what I don't recommend. And that's a goal too, is to have that. So consultations for places to eat, places to lodge at, and then eventually once we get to that point where we really start generating that capital and we have that capital coming in, we can start our own restaurant. We can start our own, guest house services so that people from the diaspora can come in can have a place to stay. You know what I'm saying? And since there will be a network for other diasporans who have started a place to stay, it'll be like within the database so that, these are the places that, are owned and operated by diasporans or, with Ethiopians who are working with diasporans. This way we're helping the locals out and we're helping ourselves out. Like we have to find a way to live in a balance because it's not about coming into the land and turning into the oppressor or trying to become a colonizer. What it is about is coming into the land to be in harmony and at peace and keeping our creator's commandments. So we have to do this right because I mean we should look at what happened with the African American colony that was not being mindful of the locals in Liberia and see what happened with them. You know what I'm saying? So it's a balance. So another thing too is there are diasporans out here, a lot of diasporans. I've come across African Americans, I come across Jamaicans, as you know, you have a Rastafarian community that's not only just a Jamaican, it also includes Trinidadians, people from Barbados and other Caribbean countries. And that's another thing I talked about in the video regarding the land grant that was given for diasporans to come into the land of Ethiopia and to build and become successful and have their own establishments and become, you know, part of the land again and connected to it. Is that the land grant was given originally to African Americans, and then from there it was handed on to and branched out to other people within the diaspora. So we all have an inheritance in this. It's not only just Jamaicans, it's also African Americans. It's not only just African Americans, it's also people who are, from all these other different countries, whether you be from Honduras, Brazil, or whatever. So you'll see the Rastafarian community. I want to also show videos and interviews with them because, as you know, I consider myself a Haile Selassie, which is, you know, connected with Rastafari. And so I like to work with a lot of the people, in the Rastafarian community, and we can do a lot of good together. So I will be sharing, their works and what they're doing and, participating in them because I think that that is how we all grow, working together. And as the Most High leads us, He will, give us our role, each of us a role in this. But that doesn't exclude also Hebrew Israelites because there are Hebrew Israelites here in the land too, which I also include their testimonials. So, this is right now we're all being perfected day by day. We're all going to come to the truth as long as we seek our Creator. Regarding supplies that are important to bring to Ethiopia, I would definitely recommend power bank, getting a power bank, bringing probably 2 or 3 phones if you can. Um, I would also recommend probably try to bring, if you can, a generator or something like solar power, because there are electrical uh, blackouts. So you want to have like a generator going forward, or have something, a device that can store energy, electricity. And I would also recommend bringing cash because Ethiopia allows you to bring up to 10,000 US dollars through the airport. So if you bring it in cash, that's also good because you never know with the ATM situation. You know what I'm saying? If your car may get uh, shut down due to what they perceive as unauthorized transactions, especially if you don't let like obviously some people want to be confidential with their affairs, so the bank may suddenly see Ethiopia, transactions and shut down your card, and because now you don't have any cash on you, you're stuck. So I recommend definitely bringing cash if you can. If you have that entire amount, I would recommend bring the entire amount, 10,000 US dollars on you. But make sure, you pack it somewhere safe so that if someone is opening up luggage, when they go through and the people picking up the luggage and loading it into the planes, and they feel something odd or strange, and then they look and then they see all the money and they just take it. Like, I would definitely recommend, storing it in a in a proper place where it's not easily found. In addition to that, or actually, moving on from that, another thing is planning. You know, try to have an idea in addition to, like I talked about with all the other things, like research, like learning a little bit of language, and um, you know, being mindful of the situation regarding the electrical shortages, and planning accordingly. If like you have like a job where you have online gig job, sometimes the internet connection fluctuates, unless you can get like a solid landline or something, a fixed broadband line where you can have like a dedicated amount of megabits per second speeds, internet speeds that is like well over 50 megabytes per second. If you're just using like one of those regular routers or whatever, the adapters that you can, carry around, and like it gives you like this Wi-Fi, whatever, portable Wi-Fi, that fluctuates. It's not always strong, so the speed is more so consistent around 10 megabytes per second range. But unless you can get something like, spend more money and get like like I said before, a fixed broadband landline, internet speeds are not going to be that fast. So just that's something to be mindful of. And for a lot of people, sometimes will just get like 4G on their phone, and then get a hotspot, use their phone as a hotspot. Like I can use my phone as a hotspot, but I still got the portable router, even though the speed isn't that great, because it does give me a little bit faster speed than what I normally get with my phone. So, that's one slight advantage, but the speed is again not that fast. If you're looking for 30 to 50 or and above, it's really hard to come by, like I said. Um, Another thing is planning. You want to start planning on what you want to do, like business wise. And that's another thing that where it comes into great, in addition to the getting help with getting set up like with your Sims card so that you can be able to make calls and stuff, and getting set up with lodging and stuff. Consultation is going to be key. Like we have to network, and we have people out here that we work with, that we can help, facilitate the transition from America to Ethiopia and make it easier, you know, with guiding you on this, because people will come in and maybe they want to start a business, but they don't know what type of business, or what is required to start the business, or what is involved, and what the investment amount. Like having brotherhood and sisterhood here helps you with acquiring those information, and if they don't have it directly, they can get it for you. You know what I'm saying? So it allows you to hit the ground again running, because it's like you come in here looking to start a business. um, and some people can waste a lot of time, months, you know what I'm saying, before they finally have that light bulb go on. And it's like, okay, this is the business I want to do. I finally got the information that I needed, but because of all the stuff that I mentioned, mistakes, now they got to go back to America and reset. You know what I'm saying? So this helps reduce having to reset. Instead, you come in here into the land to fulfill the prophecies, and you can just get the ball rolling. So we can help with that, and getting you the information and everything that you need, so that it could be again a smooth transition. And yeah, um, another thing regarding people who are unsure because maybe they've read stuff online about Ethiopia, you know, like C said in the interview, come here yourself, and form your own opinion, form your own idea, understanding that, the scripture and the prophecy does say that this land had been taken through the sword, pestilence, and famine. So what are you expecting? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're expecting a red carpet? That's not gonna happen. You're expecting the government to give you everything you want. Kind of like they tried to do the photo ops for Ghana, even though that people are finding out that even that wasn't all that it was played out to be. But that's not gonna happen because it's like the whole world commits fornication with the harlot and the beast, it says in the Bible. Ethiopia is not anything different. The beast is the world. The beast takes over the world. So we just have to be mindful and cognizant of that. It's like everything we're going out here to do, the beast does not want you doing. But you can't live in fear, because if you live in fear, again, I mean, go back to living that lifestyle. Has anything really gotten better for you? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to be the change. So we all have to play that role. And like I said, when we're following the Most High, He'll put that divine protection. He'll put a hedge around us and block evils from us. You know what I'm saying? Even if you may go through a certain situation, you'll never be killed. You'll never be maimed. You know what I'm saying? You'll emerge out of it. So that's about following and moving through faith. You know what I'm saying? And keeping the laws and obeying our Creator. Because like I said, everything that I've went through that was negative, it was always because of the decisions that I've made, wrong decisions. So as we start following and keeping with the Most High, He's gonna guide. Our Creator will guide us, on the right path. If people want to, like C.I. said, we're gonna put a list of different things that if you want to send, you know, to help us out, put links so that people can send, whether it be monetary donations or want to, send us over like equipment, like through like an Amazon wish list, and purchase and have something in items that we need sent over here. Like, I that would be very helpful. But the major thing that I'm really also looking for is, and this is foremost, is the people with the right mindset. We don't need people that are, you know, not trustful, people that are not dependable, people that are, have ulterior motives and are not looking to build. We want people that are looking to build. Obviously, we know that, when you read the script, the prophecies, that the Most High, our Creator, will save the tents of Judah first, so that the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the house of David will not magnify themselves against them. So these are the people who are primarily poorer people. So we know that not everybody's going to have like riches, and those things are great if people do have those financial resources. But the biggest thing is the labor and the skills, you know, and people that are obedient servants of our Creator that want to fulfill the prophecy. With those, we can really get moving, because having a generator may be great, but if we have someone who knows, electrical engineering, or that knows how to, build machines that are powered off of scalar energy or free energy or whatever, that's way more, that's even bigger. You know what I'm saying? Teach If you give a man a fish, that's one thing, but if you teach him how to fish, then that's another thing, because those are skills that are transferable now, that we can teach and even start our own schools. So there's a lot of things that we can really get done when it comes to, again, the planning of it, because if people have come in here with business ideas, I want to start a restaurant. I had a restaurant in America, and, I went ahead and, now I want to transition on and leave out of the West. I like to open up a restaurant here in Ethiopia, or maybe they never opened up a restaurant before, but they've been doing a lot of research into it and they would like to, or they hadn't even done research on it, but they want to, and they're really passionate and motivated for it, and they have the funds to open one up. So there's just a lot of things that we can build and we can do, when we have people, and when, as we get the people and we're getting the resources, just start making things happen. There's not a lot of Ethiopian vlogs from the diasporans, and that's for different reasons. But we want to get uh, more, more participation. We want to get more content out there so that we can not so much like move away from West Africa, because West Africa is still Africa and we want to expand, but the return center is Ethiopia, because this is where the land, the kingdom, the temple is located at. So we want to get first this new year of return, or this, have this second exodus really kick off with flights, waves of diasporans coming into Ethiopia and building a community. This is going to be very key. All right, one love.